Howdy traveling neighbors, Ian with eTrailer here. Today we're going to be looking at the Dexter replacement U-bolt kit for 5,200 pound to 7,000 pound axles, and that'll be on our 2018 Grand Design Reflection here. Let's get into a couple features and then that install. And hopping into these U-bolts, they are intended for axles that are round, anywhere from 5,200 to 7,000 pounds, and are going to be a great replacement, especially if you're doing a bunch of suspension components like we've got going on here. We've got a comfort ride, we've got the X-Factor cross member, all great additions to it. These U-bolts, since they cannot be reused, they do stretch, are going to be a great option if you're upgrading, or if you just need a new set of U-bolts. They're going to do the exact same thing either way. It doesn't have to be done with an upgrade, but they are one-time use. So I wanted to make sure we mentioned that. And you'll see here that the nut does have a nice zinc plating, and then the rest of the hardware is all either painted in this semi-gloss black, or in the case of the U-bolts, a flat black. It's going to help that to blend in back to the OEM factory look. And they are a 7-inch U-bolt, and I wanted to show and kind of feature how we even have the additional bracket here underneath for the Comfort Ride Systems shocks, and it still fits very comfortably. We've got extra threading out, so we know everything's going to be secure, even with the tie plate on there, and that tie plate's there just to add some extra rigidity to that. So great option again if you're replacing them, but if you're going to do an upgrade, make sure you pick up a U-bolt kit along the way to be able to throw that in. And hopping into the install on this, it's not all that difficult and is required for us to be doing with the Comfort Ride system that we're going to be throwing on. So it does look a little different than if you didn't have that system. It's going to function the exact same way as far as the install. We're just not going to have that center plate that's holding on the shock. So you'll just follow the instructions the exact same way and just have that tie plate on top without the additional bracket. But let's go ahead and hop into that install and get this taken care of. Now, since we're doing some work on the neighbor's vehicle here, all the suspension components are pretty much getting replaced, and we're going to be removing the old U-bolts. So this is the best time to talk about our U-bolt kit we're going to be putting on. One thing before we go ahead and get that off, you may want to give that just a little spray with some penetrating oil, because these U-bolts do have a tendency of collecting quite a bit of road grime and getting pretty rusty underneath the vehicle. And with those new U-bolts in place, that'll kind of help just make everything new, opposed to having old stretched U-bolts on there. So we'll let that sit for just a couple minutes and then come back and get that removed. And now that we've let that penetrating oil sit for a little bit, that'll make this nice and easy. I'm coming in with a 3/4 deep well socket on our 1/2-inch swivel here, and we're just going to go ahead and break those loose. You may find these can be snug, but lucky for us, these are already pretty loose. So we'll get all 4 of those removed. And you will want to make sure, of course, you've got good support under that axle that'll keep anything from dropping down far enough to yank the wires, or if you have hydraulic brakes, those hoses. We just want to make sure we've got good support, and we'll wrench those off. And with that last nut removed, you can either lift the plate or kind of push down on the U-bolt. Sometimes it's a little stuck, so you may just want to work one side and then the other. And we'll go ahead and remove that completely. So we do have the rest of our Comfort Ride system that we're going to be putting on this vehicle here. So we're going to wait to put on those U-bolts. There is going to be an additional spacer that we need to add into the U-bolt setup here on top of the axle. So I'll show you all that here once we get to that point. Then we'll take that U-bolt, run that up over the axle and through the holes on both plates. Then we'll hold that together and just get our nuts on there finger tight. And we're going to repeat that with that back U-bolt, and then of course on all the other wheel ends as well. And then once you've got the assembly together and everything tightened down, you're ready to go ahead and get those wheels back on and head down the road. And that's going to do for our look at and installation of our Dexter U-bolt kit for 5,200 pound axles up to 7,000 pounds on our 2018 Grand Design Reflection. My name's Ian with eTrailer. Appreciate you watching.